Hello, I am Xarkun. This is World of Warships Legends. Norman Scott on the screen. Equilibrium of power selected. This is the build that I am using on the Tier 6 Premium American Light Cruiser USS Flint. In the following game, we are going to be on everybody's favorite map, Dos Hermanos, two brothers in the Flint. And I'm here to tell you, with Equilibrium of Power, which is essentially the Ifhe skill from the PC, the Flint has a new lease on life. So, before we really get into things, we'll briefly go over what the Ifhe skill actually does, for those of you who may not know, although if you follow me regularly, I've talked about this before, and you probably do. But the Ifhe skill increases the HE penetration of the cruiser's high explosive shells by 30% at the cost of a little bit of overall damage that the high explosive shells do, which in reality is pretty negligible, and also a minus 2% chance to start fire, which is again pretty negligible. What are you giving up for that? Well, the 30% buff to high explosive shell penetration allows you, on this particular ship, to penetrate 27 millimeters of armor with your high explosive shells. Without the Equilibrium of Power skill, or the Ifhe skill, I might just use those terms interchangeably, the high explosive shells penetrate only 21 millimeters of armor. Now 27 millimeters, significant threshold, particularly at Tier 6, where, the Flint is situated in this game. Lots of ships, particularly several cruisers, have 27 millimeters of armor. The same is even true of Tier 7 cruisers, like the Baltimore, or the Wichita, or the Hipper, all of which have 27 millimeters of armor. Many battleships do as well. This means you are able to penetrate them much easier. You can see we've popped a smoke screen here in the Flint. We've already started, 3 fires? So the fire penalty to this skill, again, negligible. Versus what you're getting out of it. The Flint has a new lease on life with this Equilibrium of Power skill, and that new lease on life applies equally to its sister ship, the Atlanta, which is also in the game. If you were hesitant to buy the Flint before, now that Equilibrium of Power is available on both Norman Scott and Thomas Kincaid for the American cruiser commanders, perhaps your hesitation will be reduced, because this Equilibrium of Power skill easily doubles the average amount of damage that I was able to get out of both the Flint and the Atlanta before they had access to Equilibrium of Power. Now, dealing damage is a lot easier, and you have to rely much less on starting fires in order to deal that damage. Before, these shells would shatter a lot. They are only 127 millimeter destroyer caliber shells. So against battleships and some of the more heavily armored cruisers, they would have a hard time penetrating and doing damage. That's all gone now. They have a much easier time, and they still start fires. So here we are. Our smoke screen has dissipated. We're whittling this Colorado down. The Flint, of course, does come with smoke screens. They're not quite as long as the American destroyer type smoke screens, but they're very useful. And if you're familiar with playing the Atlanta, you're probably going to find this a little bit easier to play, since you have your own mobile concealment with you at any time you want. Now, you only get 2 of them if you have Equilibrium of Power selected, of course, since it is a legendary tier skill, and it's going to necessarily have to take the place of something like Fully Packed, where you could get 3 smoke screens out of that. But only 2 smoke screens, only 2 sonar, or if you're using the Atlanta, only 2 radar and only 2 sonar. I think, at least in my mind, no question, very easy trade-off. You want the equilibrium of power instead of the extra smoke screen or the extra radar. It just makes your ship so much more capable. You see, we've been whittling down this Colorado for quite a while now. Pretty much every salvo we land on him is doing HE shell penetrating damage. Even that one there was... That one might have been against the Trento, actually. It was a 2,500 damage. That's pretty significant, especially since you're firing every 5 seconds. And we're already up to 91,000 damage. The game isn't even that old yet. So, the Flint, new lease on life. Much better ship than it was before it had access to equilibrium of power, and also quite the effective credit earner, I might add. This isn't going to be like some kind of record-breaking bombshell game by the end of it, you know. We're going to do a significant amount of damage, have a significant amount of shell hits. I think we're going to take 1, maybe 2 ships down, too, before all is said and done. And we're going to earn... we're going to have a gross income of almost 700,000 credits by the end of it. So, you want something that you can grind silver with? Tier 6 premiums generally are your best bet. Use Tier 6 premium ships and premium time, as well as credit boosting flags, and, if you so desire, global XP boosting flags. All of a sudden, you're going to have a lot less time spent grinding in order to afford your next Tier 7 premium ship, or perhaps even the next global XP ship. The Flint and the Atlanta are both fantastic in terms of earning credits in a very short amount of time, and with the Flint especially, since it has access to this smoke screen, earning credits is, honestly, even a little bit easier. There we've taken down the Miyoko for our first kill. There are only 4 enemy ships left. Unfortunately, we have no spotting where we are right now, and our smoke screen has a little bit under a minute left to go. The Normandy is lit up for us, though, so we're going to try to shoot him. The Flint, of course, has more range on its guns than the Atlanta, but I think I said in my first impressions review of the Flint quite a while ago that these shells with their arcs are kind of ridiculous. I mean, essentially these guns send the shells up into the atmosphere. They orbit the Earth about 3 times before they finally come down and hit where you're aiming at them. And if you're shooting at pretty much anything at long ranges in excess of, 11, 12 kilometers, then there's a good chance that those targets are going to be moved out of the way before your shells come down where you're aiming them at. We get the high caliber medal there, though, and start another fire on that Colorado. He can see us. We're out of the smoke screen. We are permanently spotted because of that Normandy out there. So, a little bit of a mistake, but not something we can't recover from, especially since these shells are just so effective at removing hit points from this Colorado as long as they hit. I mean, this guy started at a little bit, maybe less than half health when this engagement started. I think he is taking some fire from some friendly ships, but between us and them, we've whittled him down to nothing. And there we sink him with that salvo, giving us our second kill and removing the biggest threat. We're still spotted by the Normandy and the other cruiser out there, the Trento, so not great. And it looks like the Trento has sailed into our zone of detectability, so we're going to remain permanently spotted. Not much we can do except try to run away, keep the guns blazing on the Trento, who is the closest and easiest to hit target. Also, we're going to have no problem taking him out with the HE. It is going to penetrate. We don't get the chance to actually take him out, though, with the HE because he goes down to a friendly teammate. That just leaves the Normandy, who is very far out there, 14 kilometers away. As long as he's stationary, he's not going to be hard to hit, but as soon as he starts moving, we're going to have to adjust our aim significantly, and he's going to become a lot harder to hit. Downside of having these small guns with their crazy high shell arcs. I mean, how long does it say it takes to get to the target? Almost 20 seconds from where we're at. So we're not going to count on being able to hit this guy consistently. Of course, it doesn't matter. There's no way we're going to lose this game. A single Normandy is not going to sink 6 of our ships. So essentially, it's pretty much wrapped up. Only a matter of time till this guy goes down, and the game ends with our victory. In any case, though, the Flint definitely has a new lease on life with Equilibrium of Power. So does the Atlanta. This buff to Norm Scott has made them both even more powerful than they were to begin with. So, if you were hesitant to buy the Flint before, maybe you might want to reconsider now. Very good ship, good result in it, lots of silver earned. Hope you enjoyed it. If so, give it a thumbs up and consider subscribing. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you next time. Goodbye.